on, that's wonderful. Just make sure that I can see your workspace so that your camera is oriented that way. I can give you some feedback about your form. All right. So welcome to those of you who are just joining in for the first time, and welcome back to a lot of familiar faces here. My name's Allie. I am a doctor of physical therapy as well as a nationally certified Pilates instructor. And I've been practicing here in the Boston area over the last 5 years. And I teach with the Community Online Academy every Thursday and have since it started back in March. So for today's program, this is our traditional back pain class. We have 30 minutes. It's going to be almost entirely a movement-based program today. We will do some stretching, some strengthening, and I'll save just a moment or two at the end for Q&A if you guys have any questions that come up throughout the program. One thing that I will emphasize is that everyone's backs are a little bit different. Everyone's dealing with something different. And so I encourage you to listen to your body, take the option that feels right for you, and that way you can get the most out of this workout. One thing that we will focus on today, and this comes from some feedback from you guys as we continue to develop and grow these programs, is that we're going to be moving in a bunch of different positions, including getting up to stand. So we'll do some stretches off the mat and some stretches back down onto the mat as well. So we're going to get started on the mat, lying down, and I'll just adjust my camera here a little bit so you guys have a better view. Good morning, Robbie. All right, so we'll get started. Find a comfortable position lying down on your back, and you can choose to have your knees bent, feet flat, or to have your legs all the way extended on the mat. So whatever position is comfortable for you, allow your body to just rest down, to melt, and get connected to how you feel in this moment. Maybe it's early in your day like it is for me, or maybe you're over in the UK and partway through your day and just taking a moment to check in. Let your head be heavy on the mat, and we'll start to scan our body from the very top of our heads down to the tips of your toes. And as you scan your body here, just notice any differences you feel from side to side. Notice any spots of tension. Know that there is no right or wrong for how your body feels in this moment. We're just noticing it. And as you notice how your body feels here, start to tune your attention in towards your breath. Imagine your lungs like a balloon and see if you can visualize that balloon. And maybe whether or not that balloon is inflating evenly in all directions, or if you can feel that balloon inflating more in one spot than the other. See if you can start to fill and deepen that balloon, inhaling in through your nose and exhaling out through the mouth. So we always start this class with breath work. Breath is one of the most basic but most important things we can do to manage back pain. And that's because our breath helps us to activate some of the deeper muscles around our spine that help to support our spine. It can also help to relax some of the bigger muscles that tend to spasm and maybe cause us pain. Taking that deep inhale breath in through the nose and an exhale breath out through the mouth. We'll try one more time like that, an inhale breath in through the nose and an exhale breath out through the mouth. And then go ahead and bend both of your knees, placing your feet down flat on the floor. From here, we're going to go into some pelvic tilting. So just a very gentle movement into the low back. So if you imagine the space behind your low back, you're going to rock your tailbone towards your face and open that space by rocking your tailbone away from your head. So just gently rocking back and forth. This movement can be big, it can be small, but I want it to be comfortable for your body. So if you can continue to focus on your breath, we're going to exhale as you close the space behind your low back. Inhale to open. Exhale to close that space. Inhale to let it open. We'll try a few more just like this. And as you rock back and forth, see if you can do this same movement pattern without pushing into your feet or tightening your bottom muscles. That means that the movement itself comes from your spine. And I hope that as you move a little bit here, you feel like your body starts to be able to move a little bit farther and more comfortably in that range. 3 more. And 2. Last time here, good. And then we're gonna walk the feet all the way together to gently introduce some rotation. So arms out to the side, feeling the heaviness of your feet on your mat. Gently let your legs rock from side to side. So as we rock from side to side, I want you to only go as far as you can without any pain or pinching in your low back. Even if that's different from side to side, that's okay. Work within what your body is comfortable with. Hopefully, as you do this movement as well, you start to open up into a little bigger range of motion with more comfort. And it's okay for your hips to lift here, but you want to keep your shoulders on the mat. And that's what helps this rotation movement go into our low back. We'll do different rotation a little bit later in class today, targeting more of the upper back. So very gentle, rock side to side. There's no right or wrong way to breathe here as long as you are breathing. So just let your breath be natural. We'll do 2 more. Good. And once more here, and then settling somewhere right in the middle. We're gonna now do a combination, a little strengthening exercise for our core that also doubles as a nice stretch for the back and the front of our hips. So settling somewhere in between our 2 extremes of that pelvic tilt, we'll call that our neutral spine. You're gonna bring that right knee in towards your chest and give it a gentle hug. And it shouldn't feel pinchy, it should just be a very, very gentle hug of that knee in, and stretch the left leg out long. Now, if this feels like a stress on your back, you're gonna lift that left leg up a little bit higher. If it does not, you can lower that left leg down until you feel your core start to work. Now, imagine I placed a mug of coffee right onto your stomach. You wanna keep that coffee steady and switch your legs in space and switch. So in Pilates, we call this single leg stretch. And I want you guys to think of this not only as strengthening, but also as a stretch. So I imagine here that I have a little string between my toes that I'm trying to break by pressing one leg long and then the other pulling in. So it's a push and a pull and a push and a pull. Good, that cup of coffee hasn't spilled a single drop yet. Head, neck, and jaw are relaxed on the mat. 4 more, 3, 2, last time. And then go ahead and plant both feet down and take a rest. So that was a nice stretch to draw our hips in towards flexion, which is what we need to be able to bend over. We're going to do the opposite now, a stretch and strengthener into extension. So walk your hands in nice and close towards your, heels in close towards your bottom so that you can tap them with your hands and ground your feet down into the mat. Your feet should be about hip distance apart. Arms down by your side. You're going to press firmly into your feet, lifting your hips up to the ceiling. Now, in this position, we'll just hold this for a moment. If you feel this in your low back, soften the front of your ribs closer towards your hips. So this is a bridging motion. We should feel the work in your butt muscles. If you're not sure, check in. Like I said, this is an extension movement. So this is our flattening of the front of our hips. It's a nice stretch for our hip flexors, which also connects to our lower back. Now we have an option to add on some movement here. So you can lower down and lift up, lower down and lift up. So this movement here is the foundation of your squat. Even though we're laying on our back, I know it's a little hard to visualize that. This is the same thing that happens in a squatting motion, and we're going to do that today in standing in a little bit. So we're dropping the hips down, we're pressing them up. So pressing up is just like the top part of your squat where you're standing. Good. 3 more. Down, lift. 2 more. Down, and lift. 1 more time. Drop down, exhale, lift, and drop your hips down. You can bring your knees in towards your chest, gently rocking from side to side, and then actually rocking yourself all the way up to a seated position if you can. Okay, awesome. So we're going to take this right on up to standing. So hopefully our spines are a little bit warmer now. You can come up to standing in any way that you'd like. If you want to continue to rock forward and come up to standing, go ahead and do so now. I'm just going to adjust the camera a little bit so you guys have a better view. So we're going to warm up now with squatting, and squatting is a nice exercise for our low back done well, but it's also a tricky one where I see a lot of people find painful motions because of form. So what I'm gonna have you guys do is bring your thumbs to the bottom of your ribs and your pinkies to the top of your hips. And I want you to really feel the bone underneath your finger, and that will help you to know if your spine position has changed. So you're kind of feeling the space between your ribs and hips. And then from the side to go into your squat, we're gonna bend the hips backwards first and then the knees. Press into the hips and stand up tall. We bend the hips backwards first, then the knees, push into your feet and stand up tall. Now we're holding this space between the ribs and hips because that space should not change. So this is what's called a hip hinging motion, meaning I am bending from my hips. My back position actually, even though my trunk is tipped forward, the actual shape of my spine is not standing. This is like the bottom of your bridge, and this standing here is the top of your bridge. So we'll keep practicing this a couple of times, and you can feel how that starts to work the muscles on the back of your legs. It works the muscles on the front of your legs. It should also take away some of the stress from our spine and start to warm up our body pretty quickly. So we're going to add on to this movement here by reaching our fingertips in front. We're going to squat down, stand up, reach the arms tall overhead, and then twist gently to the left, reaching your hands out wide like the arms of a windmill. Reach both arms up overhead, twist to the right, let both arms fall down, lift both arms up, and we lower into our squat. So we drop down, stand up tall, we twist and turn, add that gentle spine stretch, reach both arms up tall overhead, we twist and turn to the opposite side, we reach both arms up overhead, and we drop down, coming into a squat again. Good. So this rotation here is a little bit more targeted to the upper back. Reach our arms tall. Use the reach of your arms to help kind of pull your body into a deeper twist. Now, if you have any shoulder sensitivities, you can always modify with bent elbows, reaching the arms up, twist, drop down with bent elbows, reach both arms up, we drop down into that squat, stand up nice and tall, gently twist, lift the arms up, get tall through your spine, feel the stretch to the ceiling, twist, arms down, reach the fingertips up, feel that length. We'll do one more set here. We squat down, stand up tall, find a gentle twist, reach the arms up tall, come back through center, gentle twist, drop the arms down and come back up through center and let your arms relax. Good. So I love that little sequence. If you have just a moment or two in your day in standing to shake out your back, that's a great series that doesn't take a lot of time. Now, while I have you guys here in standing, we're going to do some calf raises. So I want you to look down at your feet. They should be parallel to one another, and your feet should be under your hips. Your hips are not the widest part of your legs. Your hips are where your femur bone comes kind of right into the hip socket, right into the pelvis. So usually that's about the middle of your thigh. So look down, it's probably a little bit more narrow than you would imagine, but that is our body's most stacked, most comfortable alignment. So once we're there, we're gonna just start to go up and down onto the toes, nice and easy. Now there's a couple reasons I like to do this. One is that when we sit or even when we stand for prolonged periods of time without a lot of movement, we don't get as much circulation down into the feet. So this will help our calf muscles actually work as a pump to return that blood back to our heart. This is also helpful because our calf muscles are the first ones really our feet are the first ones to do any kind of shock absorbing when we're walking and when we're running. And that's a good thing. We want our ankles and our feet to do shock absorbing so that our back doesn't have to do that. So I want you guys to imagine like you're lifting and lowering from glass, like you're landing in a really gentle way and you're lifting up in a really gentle way. So that real shock absorption happens down at the feet. Now notice if you're leaning backwards or maybe putting more weight on one side than the other. Think of getting tall through the top of your head. In fact, that space between the ribs and hips we talked about with our squatting it also shouldn't change during this calf raising motion. And I know those legs are starting to burn. This one can get tiring pretty quickly. But this is another nice little trick that you can do if you're standing waiting in line for a long time, which I think many of us are doing right now. Good. We'll try 3 more. Lower back down. You've got it. 2 more. And drop down last time here. And lower the heels down and shake it out. We're going to get a little calf stretch later in class, but I'll just adjust the camera. We're going to find ourselves back down onto the mat, this time on our stomach. So if you want to reach the arms up tall overhead, you can reach your fingertips down towards the floor and then walk your hands out to lying on your stomach. So once you have found your comfortable position, I just want to make sure you guys have a better view here. Let me tip that down a little bit more. Okay. All right. So once you are on your stomach, find your hands underneath your shoulders. Open up your feet just slightly wider than hip distance. Bring your elbows in by your side. We're going to start to lift the back into a bigger extension. So maybe you're comfortable lifting just your upper back. Maybe you're comfortable coming all the way up into your low back. So I want you to work within your body's comfortable range of motion. This is also an extension position, like we talked about in bridging, but this is a full spine extension. So the whole back coming up into that backwards leaning position. And this is really nice in that it is the opposite of flexion, which is what we do when we sit all day. So this is one of my favorite back stretches, something that I will include in all of my back pain classes. Shining the heart forward, keep your head lifted, drop your shoulders down away from your ears. And I encourage you guys, this really should be comfortable. I know for some of you, if you come up too high, it might be pinchy or sore. I want you to work within the range of motion that is comfortable for you. And in working in that range of motion, you'll find that as you move, it starts to get a little bit easier towards the top of the movement. Good. We'll try 2 more just like this. That's it. And once more here. And lower all the way down. Awesome. Now we're going to do a little plank for some stretching of our calf muscles, but also for some strengthening of our core. And there's 2 options here. I'm going to demonstrate up on my hand just so that you guys can see. But if you know you have wrist sensitivity or you're more comfortable in a plank on your forearms, lower down onto your forearms here. So either option is fine. You want your shoulders down away from your ears, your neck long. Hands are broad and pressed into the floor, or if you're on your elbows, they are parallel to one another like the shape of an 11. Draw your rib cage up away from the floor. Walk your right toes back. And this is where that calf stretch comes in. Really flex your foot. I want your leg to be active and your heel to be pressing away from your body. So you get a nice calf stretch there. We're going to do the same thing, bringing the left leg back to join. Now, if this is too much, you can drop onto your knees at any time, but I want you guys to try this even just for a moment to feel the stretch of the calves behind you. Draw the ribs up away from the floor. Keep your head long. Take a deep inhale breath in and an exhale breath out. Keep pressing the palms into the floor. Draw the rib cage in. We breathe in through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth for 5, 4, 3, 2. We're going to push back into a little child downward dog, or if you're on your forearm, you can pick up onto your hands. We'll shift back into the plank once more and then push back, feeling that nice hamstring stretch. You can choose to bend your knees here if needed as well. And then we'll drop down into that true child's pose now, taking a gentle stretch. So fingertips walk forward. If you have shoulder sensitivity, you can always bend your elbows, maybe even letting your forehead rest down onto the mat. We'll take one big inhale breath in here through the nose, and then an exhale breath here out through the mouth. Walk both hands over to the right side of the mat, taking a nice long side stretch, breathing into that left side body. And then walk both hands over to the left side of the mat, feeling that long stretch through your right side body. We'll take one more big deep breath in here. And then gently come on up. We're gonna find ourselves in the seated position. So I'm gonna find a cross-legged sit. You can sit in any way that is comfortable for you. In fact, if you would rather put some pillows underneath your hips or sit up on a block of sorts, you can do that here as well. So any comfortable seat. And when you find that comfortable seat, I want you to stack your spine up super tall. So shoulders roll down and back. We've done some stretching laying down. We've done some stretching standing. We're going to do a little bit in sitting here. So think of getting tall through the top of your head, like someone is pulling your spine up to the ceiling and pumping little bits of air between each of your vertebrae. We're going to open up those arms, take up space, and start to bend our spine gently sideways. Good. So by sitting down like this, because our hips are bent, this ensures that this stretch goes into our spine and not just into our hip joint. So doing this stretch in standing can sometimes bring a little bit more of that motion into the hips. This really helps us to open up not only our spine, but our rib cage here as well. So just keep your spine tall, long, and lifted, almost like you're leaning up against a wall as you move sideways. And this should be your comfortable range of motion. Good. Now, the next time we pause, we'll stop with our left hand down onto the floor, right arm up towards the ceiling. Push into your left hand. You're going to take that right arm, thread it underneath the left, and then open up and reach for the wall back behind you. Thread that right arm underneath your left and twist to open. You can follow that hand with your eyes as though there's something behind you just out of your reach. This is a rotation stretch for your upper back. So if you remember back to the beginning of class, we did a little rotation stretch for your low back. And actually our upper back is often where we have more tightness and tension compared to our low back when it comes to rotation. It also is helpful to the low back to have more flexibility in the upper back. That means we take away some of that stress from that area. One more time on this side. Good. And then we're going to come back to the center, dive with our right arm down onto the floor, push that right arm into the floor, and thread your left hand underneath, open up, twist, and gently turn to look behind you. Pull the left hand underneath, and you may not even really get to actually reach your hand under, but you're rotating your chest as though you might. And know that it's normal to have big differences from side to side with this upper back rotation. That is related to us having a dominant arm. So we tend to be a little bit more flexible on that side. And that's because we use that arm to do lots of different tasks. Good. We'll try 3 more just like this. Reaching back. Good. Gently lower back down. 2 more. Twisting. Good. Last time here, we'll twist and gently open up. Good. And come back through center. Roll out the shoulders. We're going to find ourselves in an all fours position to do a little bit of balance work. So a lot of our aches and pains in our back, especially from a strength perspective, are related to the balance of all of our muscles working together. Sometimes it's not just that one muscle is weak and one muscle is tight. It's how all of those muscles work together. So we're going to take a look at that now in the all fours setup. So we'll find our hands underneath our shoulders, our knees underneath our hips. If you know that your knees are uncomfortable, you can roll up your mat a few times for a little bit of extra padding. If your wrists are uncomfortable, you can shift your body weight behind your wrist just slightly so that your shoulder is very slightly behind the wrist. Spread out your palms, press them into the floor. We'll run through a few cat-cows, rounding our spine and gently arching to explore our spine's full range of motion. And everyone's range of motion here is going to be different. I want you to work within your body's comfortable range and then settle somewhere right into the middle. So we're going to explore the balance across our back by imagining that there is that cup of coffee now sitting right on top of our low back. So think just below, or rather above your tailbone. From here, reach your right arm, left leg back behind you. Notice if your whole body has started to tip. I want you to imagine your navel like a laser and it shines straight down towards the floor. Your fingertips and toes are reaching long in opposite directions. Unlock your left elbow and breathe. Draw your ribs up and in as though they're giving your stomach a hug. Make your neck long as though you are a turtle emerging its head from its shell. Keep reaching the fingertips and toes farther in the opposite direction. We hold and breathe for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower down. Take a moment to breathe, and then we're going to reset. Try that same thing on the second side. So go ahead and reach the left fingertips and right toes long back behind you. Find your navel so that it is pointing down towards the floor. Reach the fingertips and toes in opposite direction. Your neck is long. You're looking down towards the mat, maybe just in front of your right fingertips. Unlock your right elbow and breathe, taking the inhale breath in through the nose and an exhale breath out through the mouth. We'll try for 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way down. Find your comfortable seated position once again so that we can finish our class just like we started, at least with the movement-based part of our class, with our breath work. So feel grounded, feel the weight of your hips down into the mat, stack your spine up nice and tall. Take a moment to do another quick body scan, just noticing how your body feels now after doing a bunch of movement in a bunch of different positions. Think of lengthening and lifting your spine up tall to the ceiling. And we're going to take that deep breath again, imagining our lungs like a balloon. So this time we'll inhale, reaching the arms up tall, filling the lungs up with air, and exhale, letting it go. Inhale, reach up tall, lengthen the fingertips up to the ceiling, and exhale, let it go. We'll try 2 more breaths like this. Inhale, reach up tall, lengthen, lift. Exhale, let it go. Last time here, big inhale, reach up tall, lengthen and lift the fingertips, and exhale, letting it go. So that concludes our movement-based part of the class. And what I hope you guys took from today is that we did a bunch of back stretches in a bunch of different positions today. And know that you don't have to do them all at once. I hope you guys can take little bits and pieces, you know, when you're standing in line, when you have a moment in standing to do a few of your squats, or perhaps you're already lying down doing some stretches. Breaking those bits and pieces up over the course of the day can be really helpful to keep your spine flexible and to keep your spine strong throughout your workday.